If you're a man and you would like to be more masterful, more successful, or just feel better about how you're dating, then this video is part two in a two-part series that is intended just for you. Hi, I'm Lisa Lacroix, your communication muse. I'm a speaking and communication skills coach, but also a relationship, sexuality, and intimacy teacher and coach. I help people be more effective in all of their relationships so they can bring their full self, their fully expressed self for their own power, effectiveness, business success, and also deep relational satisfaction. I'm finishing up some of the points that I started in the last video, part one, which I'll post here. So in the first video, I talked about the skill set of attuning to her, of holding the tension between your desire and some sexy restraint, and freeing yourself from porn culture. And today I want to talk about three more points. The first is leading from intention, interacting with her in a way that is intentional and clear. The second thing is sovereignty and purpose, embracing yourself as the beginning point. And then finally, self mastery and empowerment, having a purpose beyond her. And so let's get into it. It's going to be really casual. I hope it's helpful for you if you're a man out there in the dating world. And again, just to reiterate where I'm coming from, I went out on a date with a man. He asked for my thoughts on what would have needed to be different for me to feel more of a connection with him or more of a desire to pursue a second date. And because I was super touched by his interest and willingness to learn and to ask for my input, I took a lot of time doing it. And then once I wrote it all down and sent it to him, I realized that a lot of the points I shared are common in the feminine desire from the masculine. So let's get into it. The desire for leadership and intimacy is common from the feminine to the masculine. And the kind of connection that is desired, being a steady presence that sets the tone and guides the dynamic with a lot of intention and care. So during the conversation with this man, I noticed that while he was open to exploring new experiences, he was all in for me leading him. The responsibility to teach him was going to fall 100% on me. No, this isn't inherently a problem, but when leadership always feels one-sided, it creates an imbalance. And it's an imbalance that I personally am not interested in at this point in my life as someone who's spent a lot of time growing and becoming more conscious and dealing with my own shadows and deepening into what it is that I want. And also, frankly, being at the age that I'm at right now, not willing to compromise. So I I noticed that if I'm constantly feeling like I'm the one in charge, then the dynamic can feel more like a mentorship than a romantic partnership. And in fact, I did offer this man that I'd be willing to coach him, but I think because we started off not in that framework, it was be hard for him to switch. But if I'm always leading, then then the connection isn't really a shared experience. So for instance, when he expressed curiosity about tantric energy and subtle sexuality, I really appreciate that openness. And the fact that I would need to guide him in these areas made it a little bit harder for me to see potential for a truly reciprocal dynamic. Now, if that had been the only thing, then it probably would be something I could work with. But because of all of the dynamics, it wasn't going to work for me. So the point in this that I'm calling leading with intention is for men to have a vision, to know what it is that you want, and to be willing to share it, to start practicing clarity and communication in small and intentional ways. Because it's not about taking control, but it's about being present and clear and comfortable and confident in what is true. So in dating, leadership involves taking the initiative. It might mean coming up with where you're going to go or what's going to happen instead of leaving all the planning to her. Showing that you're paying attention to what she enjoys is a beautiful way of deepening this. For example, you could plan a date and say, hey, I thought it would be fun because I remembered that you said you love antiques. And so I thought we could go out and spend the day browsing through antiquing stores. And so this is a small act of leadership that shows that you're genuinely paying attention. Again, you're attuned to her and that you're engaged, that you care enough to create a meaningful experience for her. In a committed relationship, leading with intention means being proactive about the connection's health and growth. And it might mean saying, hey, baby, what we're doing today is we're going to actually connect and talk about the things that have not been said. And we're going to create a container for that. And we're going to do it for the next half an hour. So taking that kind of action in a long-term relationship will go a long way to feeling into the feminine's heart and desire for connection. Now, obviously, I am generalizing here. This is not going to be true for all women or all feminine beings. And it might be true for many masculine beings too. But you could say, I've noticed that we've been really busy lately. How about we do a little surprise date this weekend to take time to intentionally connect? The goal is to invite her into experiences, to think about what they might be, for her to feel your presence. And that will create a deeper emotional intimacy. If you're dating, you can ask yourself, am I showing up from a place of fullness, or am I looking for someone to fill a gap? Reconnect first with your passions. Nourish your friendships, because men need friendships as much as women, but they're less likely to cultivate them. So find a container of men, a men's group, cultivate a brotherhood for yourself. And then create a life you're proud of, that you're excited about. And then sovereignty, you as a sovereign being in the world will be magnetic because people are drawn to those people who know who they are. If you are in a relationship, keep on nurturing your individuality. A lot of times men outsource their emotional and social lives to their partners. And that might explain why sometimes in divorce, men suffer a lot more than women do, because women already have relationships nurtured. Also, pursue your hobbies. Stay curious about what lights you up outside of the relationship. When both people stand in their sovereignty, the connection that's possible between them becomes so much richer, and it is built on mutual respect rather than need. Being sovereign is really not about independence to the point of isolation. It is about bringing your full self to the table, one of the most attractive qualities you can offer, and really the best place to start from. In my circles, there is a practice called a feminine cleanse, or for women, a masculine cleanse, or the no men diet. Those are practices taught by my teachers, John Wineland and Kendra Kunov. And if there's interest, I can do a more in-depth video about these practices. But in the meantime, consider that when you start from a place of sovereignty and you're the leader of your own inner world, you can bring leadership and clarity, honesty and guidance to your connections, which is what so many feminine beings crave. I often notice that many men, especially those who genuinely care, get stuck trying to figure out what she wants. You know, that classic back and forth. Well, what do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? And it comes from a good place. It comes from the desire to be considerate of her and to avoid being a controlling and dominating jerk. But the problem is that it can end up feeling like passivity rather than kindness. And it's the kind of interaction that over time can erode the feminine's trust in you. And she might not even know what it is, but she might find herself feeling bristly towards you or irritated. And all of a sudden, there's all this pain and disdain and the lack of leadership from the masculine. So I talk about this concept of nice guy syndrome in my interview with Robert Glover, who's the author of No More Mr. Nice Guy. And I'll link it here if you want to check out that interview. But what creates a stronger connection is when a man is connected to what he knows is right, not what she wants him to do, but what he knows is right, right for him, right for her, right for the community, right for love, at least his best guess. No one's asking you to be perfect, but it's about bringing clarity and direction while also staying open to iterating, to adjusting if needed, and to repair if that comes up, if there's problems that need to be fixed or communication that needs to be repaired. So leadership is about bringing a grounded presence that says, hey, I've got this. So many men have been conditioned to avoid this because it's seen as pushy, and so they default to trying to please. But most feminine beings crave not someone who waits for them to decide, but someone who knows what they want. And I'm talking about in a dating situation, in the bedroom, in life, and even in terms of the relationship. We want someone who's going to take initiative, but who's open to feedback along the way. Yes. So even if you get it wrong, your willingness to lead, your willingness to take a chance, to put yourself on the line in ways that can be vulnerable, and your willingness to adjust is far more attractive than indecision. It allows your partner to relax, knowing that you are willing to take the reins when needed while staying attuned to how things are landing, because most feminine beings are used to having to drive so much in terms of parenting, taking care of ourselves, showing up for work and for our businesses, for protecting ourselves out in the world. So when a masculine presence can come along and say, hey, I'm willing to lead, it relaxes our nervous system in a deep, deep way. The next point that I want to share is the practice of living in alignment with values and purpose. Purpose is about living with direction. It's about knowing what matters to you and what choices you need to make to reflect that. So when you're aligned with your purpose, you will naturally bring more depth and more presence to your relationships. So in the conversation with this man, he spoke about wanting more clarity in his life, but some of his choices didn't really reflect that desire. And I understand that it's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day distractions, but purpose is something that can make a radical difference in how you experience yourself. When you have a vision for the world, something that you want to bring to it that is larger than your daily actions, that is larger than your relationship, then the people you are dating are going to be so much more magnetized to you. The people that you are in relationship are going to be so proud of you and so willing to support and to champion and to love on you in the process of it. But if you give up all of your purpose to simply serve the relationship, then disdain and frustration and even maybe contempt starts to seep in, because the feminine wants to know the masculine is serving a purpose. And so if you're dating, part of your consideration might be feeling out how a potential date aligns with your purpose. And if it feels like something that you can intuitively feel she's willing to support, or that there's alignment in your collective purposes in the world, finding someone who aligns with the life you want to build is part of the practice of dating, assuming you're dating for a long-term relationship. And then if you're already in a relationship, purpose extends beyond your individual goals, but it's something that's worth practicing and something that's worth building your capacity for. So you can talk with your partner about what you want to cultivate together, create rituals that reinforce those intentions, and whether it's through regular check-ins or shared adventures or doing a project together that might be synergistic, and then celebrating all the wins that you have along the way. Living with purpose turns every interaction you have together into an opportunity for deeper connection. It will ground you, it will guide you, it will inspire you both, and it'll bring an undeniable magnetism to how you show up in the world. So the conversation today is about becoming your fullest sovereign self, your most authentic self, knowing that that's what fosters epic connection, that that is the necessary foundation for beginning any kind of relationship. So sovereignty and leadership and serving a greater purpose aren't just relationship tools, these are life tools. For men in the world, the more you cultivate these practices, the richer your connections will be and the richer your life will be. So none of this is about perfection. This is about showing up. It's about being present. And it's about staying curious and cultivating the way that you are being and growing as a man in the world. So to my masculine viewers, I see all of these challenges. I see this opportunity for growth, but I also see your beautiful potential. and your deep commitment. And I want to say thank you for all the work that you do. Thank you for all of the care that you put into being a better man, because I see you and I know how hard you work. And I know that in our culture, there isn't always the deepest heart-centered listening to all the challenges that you face. And so right here, right now, I want to say thank you so much for all you do. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening and growing and challenging yourself and your brothers and your partners to become better, because that's how we all grow. We rise up together. So if you're still here, thank you for listening. Let me know what from this video resonated with you and what challenges you're working on right now. Drop a comment below because I'd love to hear from you. And if you haven't already watched part 1, make sure to check it out. I've got many more resources and videos that might be helpful for you. If you want to see another video, YouTube thinks you'll like this one, and this is a playlist I think you'll like. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.